the media doesn't get?
Well, first, this is just, human beings. Not every interesting person is universally liked, number one. Number two, you have the media sort of upset and actually whining now because Donald Trump isn't playing by their rules, and these rules don't apply to Democrats. That's the problem people have with the media.
Good.
What's an example?
I'll give you a couple. Let me give you a couple of examples, Brian, because we didn't see coverage on CNN wall to wall recently when the administration came out and said they wanted to add biometrics to the vetting process for refugees. Because guess what? That's going to be in a database. But we did hear for 2 weeks that Donald Trump wants a database for these Muslim refugees, and it was insanity. We don't hear back-to-back coverage on CNN about Hillary Clinton lying to the American public, knowing that we had a terrorist attack in Benghazi, and she blamed an American citizen who made a video. But yet we spent weeks on talking about a head count when Muslims celebrated 9/11. So I think that goes to show the dishonesty in media.
I do think hundreds of hours have been spent covering Benghazi. You just said Muslims celebrated 9/11. Don't you mean a very small number, according to media reports, maybe a handful?
No, I mean radical Muslims celebrating 9/11 in America. And let me talk about just last night from that video that you were talking about in Iowa. Let's continue with the dishonesty, because MSNBC said that Donald Trump abruptly left the stage from his event in North Carolina when, in fact, the full video is out there on YouTube. He talked for about an hour, took questions and answers from the audience members, and then continued to shake hands and sign books and shirts and hats and everything afterwards. So that's just completely dishonesty in the media.
I did see that last night Trump said that Katie Turner, the NBC correspondent who was there, should be fired. I can't remember another candidate that would call for a reporter to be fired.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with calling us? Let me tell you something. Here, let me point something out that nobody pointed out. Breaking news here. This is a good one. You're gonna like this one, Brian.
Okay.
She claims that there were Muslims that celebrated 9/11 even on U.S. soil, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And that could be controversial, whatever. So he wanted to point out the number. What's the number? What are we talking? Tens, dozens, maybe 100, a couple hundred, but it certainly wasn't thousands, right? Okay. Was this CNN, by the way?
Yes, this is, yes, CNN.
Okay, all right, okay. So we need thousands, right? If it's not thousands, then it's irrelevant, right? Yet, meanwhile, they have one white fat guy at the Donald Trump rally on the outside. Actually, it was on the outside of the rally, outside of the Chicago thing, the riot, screaming for all the black people within earshot that they need to go back to Africa. And they replayed that clip every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes he was throwing out racial slurs and he said, go back to Africa, go back to Africa. He was screaming it. One freaking guy, and that's big news. And yet, 100 is not enough celebrating 9/11. It's not enough. It has to be in the thousands. It has to be in the thousands, right?
It actually was in the thousands, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so their point is, look, we got this white guy doing what we know white guys do, which is scream racial epithets. And so they're going to extrapolate this one guy. He was in a camouflage hoodie. He looked like he hadn't shaved in about 7 days, and he was overweight. It was like the stereotypical, exactly what they hope to find. Right. And he's screaming for all black people to go back to Africa at this Trump riot. Honestly, who knows who this guy is? He could have been a plant. That's exactly what they do, by the way.
Yeah.
They'll put a Democrat guy in there, dressed up in, this guy looked like somebody who was tasked to do this by the Democrat Party, and they said, "Ooh, I'll wear a camouflage hoodie. I'll look the part, man. I'm gonna look the part, whatever." So one guy's doing that, and they play that every 10 minutes, so that they can fill all of the viewers with this false narrative that Republicans are racist, homophobic, bigots, and this is what they do. And yet, when we have hundreds of Muslims celebrating 9/11 on American soil, we get blasted because it's not thousands when we say it's thousands. It could have been thousands. But it was certainly more than one. It was more than one. So, okay, it's just completely hypocritical. Completely hypocritical.
No, without a doubt. Well, it was probably on the heels of an article that came out by who was this? Was this by Savings? Well, they took some of the Pew poll and they did some polls across the country. I think this was posted on Breitbart, but it shows that all these polls that Donald Trump is able to unite white Americans' ethnic and economic anxieties into a powerful populist coalition.
See, what they're doing here is they're using their own bigotry against white people to lump them all into this caricature of what they really are, and then they create a narrative out of it, and that's what they're doing.
Okay, so by calling him a populist, is that a bad thing?
They say that Bernie Sanders is a populist too, and I think it's a very general.
Okay, I don't think that's true, but all right.
Well, isn't it populist? Okay, well, if you ever heard the word and you ever use the word, I like the word myself, the demagogue or demagoguery.
Right.
The demagogue is somebody who is going to say things to a crowd of people based on what they want to hear, so that they can gain support from the people, and so the word populist is pretty much synonymous with demagogue. If he's a demagogue. So, but they don't use the word demagogue because a lot of people don't even know what that means. And if you say, I don't think anybody should like Trump or support Trump because he's just a demagogue, I think you're going to lose a lot of people because they just don't understand the word. But that's what a populist is. But I mean, who the biggest demagogue in the world is definitely Obama. He went out there and did the Hopi changey thing.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna fundamentally change America. We're gonna you guys will have everything, and America will be awesome, and whatever. And it was all just to get people to go to the polls and all that kind of stuff. I honestly believe that Trump's not going to go. He's a busybody. He gets 4 hours of sleep, and that's all the sleep he gets, which means he works 20 hours a day every single day. If you think that he's going to go to the White House, go to the Oval Office, sit down, kick his shoes up, his shoes off, put the feet up on the desk, and be like, now I've made it. Now I can relax and hit the golf course. You think he's going to hit the golf courses as much as Obama and do all the recreational crap that Obama does, and all the jet setting all over the world just so he could say, like he's like the stereotypical Hilton sisters.
Right. Well, here's the deal. Trump has made that money for himself. He has made it happen. Matter of fact, he talked again about what he did in Cincinnati and how much he loves Cincinnati and how he got his first big deal, his first real start.
I heard about that. The one he had like a Norwood or Reading apartment building or something.
Yeah,
he made $1 million.
Right. Said it was unbelievable. We turned it around, sold it for big money. We bought it cheap, sold it for big money.
He bought it for like $4 million and sold it for $5 million, so he made $1 million off of it.
Okay.
Which I'll tell you what, that must have been one hell of a big apartment building. I mean, there's not very many properties in the city of Cincinnati that are $4 million. It might be that one on Reading Road. It's a giant. It's like a 8-story tall. It's like a cube. It's just massive.
It's just megaplex. Right.
Yeah, and it's it's probably low rent type of stuff, but he's able to turn it around and he makes something bad into something good, and you're able to sell it for profit, which is what he did. And he said it was his first deal, and I think that's pretty awesome. I think that he's not going to go into the Oval Office, kick his heels up, and say, well, I'm done now. I can retire and just sit here for 8 years and just. He's too much of a busybody. Right. He's going to go out there, he's going to pull up his sleeves, and he's going to start gutting the place.
Here's the thing. His habits that he has created over his entire lifetime, they are habits that has made his life successful and easier. If you create good habits that are absolutely habitual, you don't even think about doing them, and you automatically do them, and they are profitable, good habits, you're going to continue along with those habits regardless of whatever position you get or have. That's what you do. You sell yourself, your past, to the next company that you want to be with. Here's what I've done. Here are my habits. I'm reliable because this is what I do, and I always do it. Well, the same can be said about Obama. This is what I do.
Whoa. You do not call a black person lazy. All right, you
didn't say that. I said he has. I said he has poor habits, destructive habits, and these habits.
Well, he definitely destroyed a lot. He definitely destroyed a lot
as a community disorganizer and habitually disorganizing. When he got to the White House, he continued to disorganize.
Oh, and by the way, you can blame him for all the chaos and racial tension that we see directly. I mean, remember he blamed the cop at the beer summit and all that kind of stuff. And oh my gosh, he's before Obama became president, we didn't have anywhere near the kind of racial tension that we have now.
It is the racial tensions I'm seeing right now are like I've never seen in my lifetime. I have never seen this type of chaos, this type of Black Lives Matter terrorist organization. I've never seen any of it like this. People talking or not talking about Chicago like they should be talking about Chicago. All the murders and the deaths and the violence and the crime, the drugs.
If you really cared about black lives, you would be protesting all the murders that are happening in Chicago.
Right. So check this out. There's a guy, he's a former Virginia senator, and at one time he was a Republican, and then in 2006 he ran for Senate for Virginia, Democrat Jim Webb. He's a Vietnam veteran.
He ran for president.
Right. And he was a captain in the U.S. Marine Corps. He's obtained the Navy Cross, the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts.
That Navy Cross, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Did you say you got a Silver Star or no?
Yes, Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, and 2 Purple Hearts.
Dude, this guy's a war hero.
Yes.
This guy's a war hero. You cannot, let me tell you something. We had a captain in boot camp that was a Silver Star recipient, and one night during boot camp, our drill instructor decided, he was a really good guy. He liked to tell us stories before bedtime. And
God bless him.
Seriously, it was, looking back on it, it seems it almost seems kind of, I don't know, it's kind of heartwarming, endearing. He would tell us war stories because everybody that was in charge when I was in boot camp, they were all Gulf War veterans.
Right.
So they all had actual war stories. So we're sitting there in the rack. That's what you call the bed in the Marine Corps. They call it the rack. So we're in the rack, and our drill instructor proceeds to start telling us about how our captain earned a Silver Star. And, he basically, what happened was somebody went out into the open doing something and ended up either getting hit with shrapnel or got shot. They were wounded and they were down. And so there was a firefight that broke out, and there's bullets flying everywhere. And he decided, well, I got to do something. That guy's out there wounded. And he said, cover me, I'm going out and getting him. And he got, they covered him best they could. And he flew out there, or, ran out there on foot and drugged this guy back through a hail of gunfire and got him to safety. And he ended up earning the Silver Star for that. And we're all just like, what? Like, just totally riveted by these stories and stuff like that. So the Silver Star is not easy to earn. The Bronze Star is like what you get when you do something kind of, that's good during combat, but Silver Star is like, do you really help somebody out and put your life at risk.
Right.
I mean, it's up there.
Okay,
and there's a Navy Cross, too, so yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Navy Cross, that's the...
Oh, it's big.